Welcome to Transform Your Menopause with Essex Menopause Coach, the go-to podcast for anyone struggling from peri to post-menopause. If you're feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, or anxious, this is the place for you. Hosted by me, Julie, an award-winning coach who's been in your shoes, this podcast offers real understanding and practical help. I'll tackle menopause head-on with clear, no-nonsense guidance that makes a real difference. So whether you need support, tips, or just a friendly voice, I'm here to help you navigate menopause and rediscover your best self. Right, hello my loves. I know it's been a while since I last recorded an episode of the podcast, and this is in fact my first one from my new consulting space in Brightlingsea, and I have just had an absolute mare setting up the technology. But so I've just spent, let me look at the time, 22 minutes trying to get this set up ready for today. But I should practice what I preach, shouldn't I? Deep breaths, calm. Anyway, today's episode, I'm going to be talking about alcohol, drinking alcohol in menopause, and sharing with you my top alternatives. So the reason I decided to focus on this is that swapping from my favourite to an alcohol-free alternative that's better for my health and stops me from getting drunk so quickly has been a bit elusive, to be honest. But I did find one recently that I really liked, and when I shared that on Instagram, loads of you got involved. So it's clearly a topic that's of interest. It's half-term week. If you follow me on social media, you will have seen that I have been working on an upcycling project, which if you see me in the old office, you would have seen the chair. It was a very sorry looking chair. It had a throw over it, and we picked it up for free. And I've probably had it for about a year now and not done anything. But the fact that we've had to move office has pushed me to get that done. So that's what I've been doing this week. So you can go and check that out. But back to today's episode. Okay, so I hold my hands up, right? I like an alcoholic drink as much as the next person. And I think that often surprises people when they come to see me because they think the first thing I'm going to say is you need to stop or moderate your alcohol. And you do need to do that, but it's more often than not our starting point. And I like nothing more than a crisp white wine with ice on a sunny day. And I think summer is often the hardest, isn't it? Because the social aspect, we're sitting outside, enjoying the heat, visiting bars and pubs, going away on holidays, socializing more, entertaining more. So finding an alternative is like essential. So I have been toying with alternatives for quite a while now, and I always go back to my favourite, which is a glass of chilled Sauvignon Blanc. There's nothing better. I like it. And the only way we can bring about change is by doing things that we love. And that's why I keep saying about the whole thing about habit change and repeating a task or activity a certain number of times is never going to bring about change. It misses out that golden piece about doing something you love and laying down new pathways in the brain. And that's technically what I've employed with this. So I have found an alcohol or lower alcohol alternative that I love. So that's inspired me today. But before we get to that, I think we need to focus briefly on why do we need to reduce alcohol consumption and why is it so particularly important, I suppose, during perimenopause and menopause. So it's well known that alcohol can exacerbate your menopausal symptoms, particularly those associated with moods, so like low mood, anxiety, the fear. We always used to call it the fear when you get up the next morning. Sleep disturbance, hot flushes. I know that very first glass of wine or whatever your tipple is, maybe a gin and tonic, always feels nice and relaxing, but it does tend to go rather downhill rather fast after that. So the reason for this is that we aren't able to hold on to as much water as we had previously done or in the past when we were younger. That's due to the lack of decline in estrogen and our reducing muscle mass. But combine that with we are lower amounts of the enzyme, the liver enzyme that helps us to break down alcohol, and you've got that recipe for disaster. And that's part of the reason why we get drunk so much more quickly at this phase of life. So your liver is also involved in many aspects of hormone balancing and excreting old hormones like estrogen, and it cannot prioritize doing that if you are consuming so much alcohol, that it has to prioritize that over other processes. So it needs to get rid of that first. So that's another reason why it can exacerbate your symptoms. And another reason why is that drinking 2 units of alcohol or more daily increases your risk of breast cancer, as well as some other cancers and health issues. And I bring up the breast cancer risk particularly because it's something that women often ask me about when they come to see me for a consultation, particularly if they want to talk about HRT. And there's a really helpful infographic that I get out to show people that demonstrates lifestyle factors such as how much you exercise, the importance of your weight, and how much alcohol you drink, and how that relates to taking HRT. And I think that brings risk into perspective, because most of those women wouldn't think twice about drinking a glass of wine every single night after work. So knowing about those kind of risk factors might help you moderate and think a little bit more about why you might want to reduce your alcohol consumption. There's plenty of advice out there about reducing your alcohol, things like alternating with a soft drink, changing your routine to change, that kind of brain association. If you always reach for a glass of wine when you get in from work, breaking that association by maybe going to walk the dog first, or just planning a few days break each week. And that's really essential anyway to help your gut bacteria and microbiome recover from drinking. I always say you need to have a minimum of 3 consecutive days a week alcohol free anyway. But as I mentioned earlier, the real key to changing your habits is doing something you love. That doesn't have to mean going teetotal, but it does put you back in the driving seat so that you can decide what you want to drink and when. So I'm going to go through, how many have I got here? 4 alternatives that you might want to try if you're trying to cut back or reduce your alcohol consumption. Okay, so my number 1 is the low or no alcohol beer. This is the one that's been a game changer for me. So it was only, I don't know, maybe a month ago, I tried, I think it was, actually, I made a note of what it was. It was the San Miguel Zero. And I was surprised by just how much I enjoyed that drink. I do like a cold beer on a hot sunny day anyway. And I think it doesn't taste any different from having a real beer. So for me, that ticks all the boxes. It, lights up that kind of pathway in my brain that makes me happy. So it just becomes easy. It becomes a no-brainer. And I have been buying that since. So I've probably replaced quite a few glasses of wine now with the no alcohol alternative. And when I talked about this on Instagram, loads of you had ideas, and it does seem like the low or no alcohol beers are by far your favourite no alcohol alternative. And there's just a few here that some of you mentioned. So the Peroni Zero, X Blue, and one that came out really well was the Guinness Zero, which everyone's saying tastes exactly the same as the real thing. So if you enjoyed that, I would suggest going to give that a go. Even more noteworthy, there was a recent study, I will try and find a link to it and put it in the notes, that showed the benefits of consuming 2 non-alcoholic beers per day in improving gut microbiome and glucose sensitivity, which we always know it's a bit of an issue during perimenopause and menopause, and contributes towards those weight issues you might be experiencing. So if you needed an excuse to explore that, then I think that's probably a great reason to get trying it. Okay, number 2, kombucha. So kombucha, you probably know, is fizzy fermented tea. It's a probiotic drink, which means it's adding beneficial bacteria to your gut. Your microbiome has an incredibly important part to play in how you break down food, how you extract nutrients from your food, and it's pretty well indicated now via the gut-brain axis in its impact in supporting your mental health, so anxiety, depression, low mood. So if you suffer with those kind of symptoms, working to improve your microbiome should be something that you decide to focus on. There are a couple of brands. So I've just written here to look out for sweeteners. So some of the kombucha brands, if you look on the list of ingredients, have added sweeteners in there. I'm not a fan. If you want to go and look at research, the research is mixed about whether it has detrimental impact or not on your health. So we're talking about glucose sensitivity, weight gain, again impacting microbiome. But there's the research on both sides, so it's pretty inconclusive. But I think if you're going to go the kombucha route, you might as well go something that is good for you. Now, if you're switching to kombucha to maybe change over from wine, to make the switch from wine, then LA Brewery in Suffolk do, they look like bottles of wine. I can't remember what they're called, but it's like a summer, inspired by summer range that's supposed to be a replacement for wine. So that's pretty good. So try that, nice and chilled in a nice glass in the garden. So that would be a recommendation from me. Okay, number 3, Mother Root Ginger Switzel. Now, I've got one of my old clients to thank for reminding me about this. So, Charlie, thank you very much. Charlie replied again on Instagram when I was talking about the no alcohol alternatives. And I have to be honest, I had completely forgotten about this drink. I think because I don't drink alcohol so much at home anymore. But this is a great one for summer, sitting in the back garden, entertaining, or just relaxing with a barbecue. So, what it is, it's basically apple cider vinegar with this really nice gingery, kind of slightly spicy kick. I guess it depends how much you water it down. But you top it up with, I use sparkling water, but you can use soda water or tonic. Stick some ice cubes in there, and that's a really nice grown up drink. So yeah, I really like that one too. And there's loads of benefits now about apple cider vinegar. A quick Google search and you'll find loads on that. And I think, I can't remember quite exactly how much. I think each serving of the ginger switzel contains a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. So if you've not given that one a go, it's definitely worth exploring. And that's available online. So I think you can even get it on Amazon these days. But they've got their own shop. So yeah, so just go and search. Let me get the full word. Where's it gone? Root ginger switzel. That's the one. Okay, and then lastly, CBD drinks. Some of my clients have got on really well with these and absolutely swear by them to help them relax and unwind when they get in after work, and really dramatically reduce some of their drinking habits. I myself had a phase where I always ensured I had some Trip CBD drinks in the fridge. They are refreshing, are flavorful, and you can enjoy drinking them. But if you look at the ingredients list again, there's a fair few. I think there's a few sweeteners in those CBD drinks. If you are going the route where you're trying to avoid those kind of added sweeteners, then you need to be checking out what's on that ingredient list again. But going back to that about the sweetness thing again, what we need to think about is compared to what. So what are you subbing out for? So if you're switching from a bottle of wine to having a couple of cans of the CBD drink, or any drink with sweetener, is that so bad? I think you have to look at it from a perspective of what's your starting point. What are you changing it for? Which is going to be better for you? I think we can get overly caught up on some of the hype and the information that's out there, and then it all becomes far too difficult to put into place. Think about what you're substituting for and which is going to be better. Okay, so there's my roundup. So if menopausal anxiety is getting you down, this is definitely an area that I recommend that you work on. I do know that it's easier said than done, but if you're ready to make a change to improve your symptoms, then get in touch and then I can support you with this. Do you have any drinks that you think I should be trying? Leave me a voice note or pop onto Instagram and let me know in my DMs. I always love to have a chat there. And I think that's it. So thanks for listening, and I hope you tune in again soon. Bye.